Hi, I'm Michael Dwyer. I'm an assistant professor here at Arcadia in our newly formed Media and Communication Department. And I've been here for, I guess, a year and a half, and I'm enjoying it very much. I came here just after, summer 2010. I finished my PhD at Syracuse University. I got a PhD in English, a specialty in film studies. I was there for 7 years, and before that I did a master's degree at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh in literary and cultural studies. Before that I got a degree in English from the University of Miami, but I was there to do a double major in marine science and physics. I wound up switching halfway through because everything that I was good at in marine science I didn't like, and everything I liked in marine science I wasn't good at. Before that, I went to high school in Ambridge, Pennsylvania, which is a company town. There used to be the factory for the American Bridge Company. There used to be steel mills. Now there's heroin. Heroin and kids who don't have all that much to do, I guess. Here I teach. I've taught 5 classes here in my 4 semesters. So I teach the CM 101, which is Introduction to Media Studies, which is a course I never taught before being here. It's not really Introduction to Media Studies. It's more like Introduction to Media Industries. And I like that quite a lot, mostly because I like looking at all the different industries in media and communication, and I also like having first semester freshmen in their first course in the major, because I like to sort of set a tone for how to start in the major and sort of set the groundwork for things that they'll do later. I like that quite a lot. I teach the 213, which is the media writing and communication, which is the research writing course in the major now, which is exciting because we have our own RW course. And in that course I try to broaden our idea of what research is, what research writing is, so as not to only associate that term with your composition class, your 5-paragraph essay kind of writing. I think it's really, really beneficial, particularly for people in our field, to think about research more broadly, to think about research as interviewing as research, market research as research, thinking about the research that needs to go into, say, film production or things like that. I'm really interested in broadening that idea of what is research and what is writing. That's the hardest class to teach, because research is there's a lot of dead ends in research, and research takes a lot of individual drive, and also people tend to hate writing courses. So that class is hard to teach, but it's also really rewarding because some really great projects are created, and you get to introduce new tools and that sort of thing. My favorite class to teach is the Media Studies class, which is the last theory class in the curriculum. It's the last class people take before they do their capstone project. So I have really enjoyed, just this year, I have students in my Media Studies class that I had in my very first 101. So as first-year students or second-year students, their first course in the major, and this is essentially their last one before capstone. And that's a course in cultural studies and critical theory, essentially, which is super nerdy. That's my very favorite thing. I enjoy that quite a lot. This semester, for the first time, I'm teaching Intro to Film, which I love, love, love. I haven't taught film since I was at Syracuse, and that's all I did while I was at Syracuse. I taught film and popular culture there. I also taught some writing, so I guess I'm a total liar. But that was my favorite class to teach back then. it's really enjoyable now. Because, I mean, there's a very clear, you start to watch films differently after you start to understand cinematic language. So there's very sort of obvious and immediate difference. You see students start to see things differently, and that's a lot of fun. And I also teach what's called the newspaper practicum. It's not really a newspaper practicum. Students are working on their own writing projects, which are right now taking the form of an online magazine, which should be out March 1st, so keep your eyes out for it. So that's what I teach here. I think that's it. It is that. That's it. That's it. Difficult, really difficult. It's a miracle I'm here. The academic job market is not easy, particularly for somebody who just finished. So I was extremely, extremely fortunate, and extremely fortunate that I landed in a place like this. I had some interviews where I would have been very sad to have to take the job. This was not one of those interviews. I was extraordinarily happy to get the job, but it was so difficult making the transition from not only from being a student, primarily understanding myself as a student, to primarily understanding myself as a professor. It's a big change, but also you're like moving away from the place you knew, the friends you knew. You're just dropped into this new thing and new role, and it's really exciting. Like, Philadelphia is definitely more exciting than Syracuse, but it was a change. And then I was teaching all these new courses and figuring out how the department worked, how each course fit within the department. All those kinds of things were really difficult, but also really exciting, because I'm in a department that fits me. So it was just a matter of like scrambling to try to figure out what I bring to the table for the department and for the university, really.
Do you want to close it off with anything?
Like a song or something?
No.
I don't know. One of the things I would say, and I say this to all my students, and I say it multiple times to all my students, is I think it's really important for students to think of their education as more than just their classes. So if you look at students across the country in fields like media and communication, they're creating their own stuff. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about this practicum course, is I get to just support students who are working together on something, not for a grade, but because they were really interested in writing, or they're really interested in, they're starting a music podcast. So they're sort of collaborating with the radio station in that way. And I really, really, really think students need to take the time during their education to not only learn the techniques in their classes, but start doing things outside of class and start to practice on their own for whatever their interest is going to be. So I always like to tell students that, I mean, that's why that's how I became interested in writing about film and media, was because I worked with some friends on a music magazine that we just put up online, and all of a sudden it became this big thing, and it definitely changed my life in that way. And it wasn't because I took a class in film. I actually never took a class in film as an undergraduate. It was because I worked on something with some friends and got really excited about it. So that's a really important part of education. Classes are good too. Don't skip class, but you can't only do that.